And we are back with the Fatandira playthrough here in Araby. We're going to start by wrapping up the previous turn. And ideally, nothing too exciting happens. I'd like to keep it nice and quiet in the opening turns here so I can get a nice, solid foundation rolling. Granted, I might not have a say in the matter. I do anticipate that Icky Crooked here, what a name, is going to attack Granite Massif as soon as the turn rolls around to Arachnus. And I don't think that should be too much of a problem. I didn't take a look at his army. I believe he will stop me from recruiting the Camel Lancers, which will be mildly annoying. And the garrison at Granite Massif should not be anything of note yet. But, if he does attack, I believe I can deal with him. And it should not be a problem. Or he's just going to disappear. He probably, I assume, used underway stance. There we go, underway stance to teleport somewhere else that he finds more agreeable. Or he's just gone south a little bit. He's trying to lay an ambush, I suppose, there in Rasetra. Now, let's see. I don't want to leave the city of Granite Massif exposed. And the garrison here is pretty sad looking. So that is going to be an important question here. I don't want to be delayed too much, though, on the route to Mount Arachnus, especially considering it's quite some distance away. So let's see here. Should I hire another lord to have them camp out in Granite Massif? Perhaps? Should I lay an ambush? But an ambush might fail, is the issue. And even if the ambush succeeds, who's to say that Icky Crooked doesn't get distracted by something else? Well, these are the difficult choices you have to make, I suppose. Let's see, I could... I'm going to do some degree of compromise. I would like to recruit a couple extra units before I hit whatever threat perhaps lays south. So I will have Fatandira go down here to this fork in the road and recruit some Camel Lancers. While back in Granite Massif, I will recruit a Lord. We will take this gentleman right here. No, actually, let's take Sadiq Kassab of the Grand Vizier of Fire. He's an Ethiopian prince that provides plus 15% income for all buildings and plus 5% movement range. The increased income from buildings isn't too crazy, because I don't usually have too many defensive lords set up. But nonetheless, there we go, not too shabby. And let's get this guy going. The Devil's Backbone recruitment is already being used. Well, gotta have your priorities. Now, if Icky Crooked attacks and takes Granite Massif, then I will just have Fatandira double back and beat him. If he keeps moving, then Fatandira gets to move on down to Mount Arachnus and take that for myself. Perhaps I'll take Mount Arachnus and sell it off to Kerak Zorn for a hefty sum of cash. That's a good way to make easy money in the early game. So yes, he is attacking, and unfortunately it is a decisive defeat. I can play the battle, but I doubt it would be very meaningful. There are some people who are able to do good work with that small of an army, but sadly I have never really been in that position. Oh, he just sacked. Weird. And then the Lady of the Black Grail killed him. Well, in a sense, that kind of worked out. Not the way I would have wanted it to go, but, yeah, you know, it wasn't too bad, really. And he only stole 800 bucks. Prick. Alright. Should we recruit some Tomb King units before we go? That is pretty hard to turn down. Yeah, I'll help myself to a couple Nehekara warriors. Yeah, then I can really take Mount Arachnus with ease. Maybe a little bit too conservative here, though. We'll see. I'll end up paying the price for it if I am. Let's see. The growth. Yes, I want to get a date plantation growing up. We got growth coming from it. And if the Nomad Chiefs take control in my nation, which so far neither the Urban Elites nor the Nomad Chiefs are dominant, but if the Nomads are dominant, then these will also make money on top of giving growth. While if the Urban Elites take control, then it will increase my recruit rank for Knights. Not too shabby. Alright, we'll let that rock. What are my campaign objectives? Just real simple stuff. Yeah, that makes sense. The campaign objectives sometimes can be needless busy work. I get that. And besides, like, one of the bigger mods is the Victory Condition Overhaul mod anyways, which if you're going to play with mods, a lot of people do play with it. I personally don't, because I'm fine with the vanilla Victory Conditions now. Back in Warhammer 2... I quite like the Victory Condition Overhaul mod, because back in Warhammer 2, the Mortal Empires victory conditions were absurd and unattainable. But thankfully, in Warhammer 3, they corrected that, and you can actually finish a campaign in reasonable time.
I serve the Phoenix King.
Let's see here. We are going to... Ooh, this is all Mountain Pass, which means it is all going to cause attrition, unless I force march. Let's see here. I'm going to make the bold prediction that I'm going to be fine to force march it.
We go.
And yes, I am. Argor Gorespitter is not going to run out of Mount Arachnus to attack me by his lonesome while I'm in force march. Even if he does, we'll just beat him. Because even if the units are exhausted, who cares if it's only one Goblin Sorcerer? Or Shaman, excuse me. Let's see, we can also upgrade. Granite Massif is the garrison. Yeah, the garrison's finally up to snuff. Yeah, once it upgrades to tier 2, we're going to put a garrison building in. That way, Granite Massif will not need to be babysat. And we will roll over the turn here. The very next turn, we will get the Parables of War effectively researched. Once we take Mount Arachnus, like I said, I'm thinking I'm just going to sell it off to the dwarfs. Oh no, now I'm trespassing. Well, that's unfortunate, but probably should have anticipated that, honestly. We'll run back. Old Thoric Ironbrow is not going to be happy about me trespassing. So he's going to be mad at me for a good long while. Dwarfs hold on to little things like that. Which is lawful. So, let's see. Yeah, am I already considered trespassing?
You've got some gall coming here.
Yeah, Thoric, I know. You got a lot of... everybody's got a lot of gall here. Okay, let's see here. I could go ahead and give them some cash just to soften the blow, but for a while, they're just going to be mad, and there's not really anything I can do about it. So, let's see here. We're going to have to, yeah, force march our way all the way back up. Wasted turn, but it is what it is. These are the sorts of things that just happen. There's always a little bit of, well, a fair element of randomness to Total War Warhammer campaigns. It's just the way it is. If it was perfectly predictable and consistent every single time, then it would be, well, I probably wouldn't have played it for so tremendously long. Let us see here. What do we want to give the Hashashin? Well, better stats overall would be nice. Let's see. Her health is pretty sad, so let's upgrade that a good little bit so that she doesn't die to a single hit. Make her a good bit tankier. While for our tech tree, let's go ahead and hit, yes, not one step back, so we can get bigger buffs for our very basicest of units. Then we can hit this Savage Ways, which I quite like. And then up here we have Mullah Auckland's Recipes, which is plus 10 missile strength for gunpowder units. Not too shabby. Winds of Magic nonsense. And Armor for Camels. Ooh, plus 15 armor for camels. That's pretty good, especially for the Camel Cataphract, which is already ludicrously heavily armored. Has ludicrously high armor, or ludicrously heavily armored. If I want to just repeat myself a little bit with some of those particular vowels. Getting a drink of water here. Gotta keep it rolling. Now, with Arachnus out of the way, the question is, what is my next target going to be? And I want to stay on decent terms with the Cult of the Bloody Grail, or whatever it's called. Is that what it's called? The Cult of the Bloody Grail? Cult of the Black Grail, excuse me. But it does look like it's bleeding a little bit. But yeah, we want to stay on good terms with the Cult of the Black Grail for a minute. Cetra has pushed on to taking Numas, which, yeah, that's what I expected. So, let's see. Are they... They must actively be at war. Yes, they are. Okay. Well, in that case, I will push on to attack Cetra. From there, we definitely need to be dealing with good old... How have I forgotten his name? How have I forgotten your name? Skarbrand. Yes, Skarbrand. Skarbrand was what I was thinking, but I thought that was the name of an orc for some reason. Whatever. We are going to need to deal with Skarbrand sooner rather than later, because either we deal with Skarbrand or Skarbrand deals with us. Now, let's not force march this. We will, in defense of Ulthuan indeed, we will go ahead and, yeah, regular march, and we will recruit some more units to march on Numas. Let's see, we can help ourselves to a couple skeleton chariots, which will be free, which will be quite nice, so we don't have to pay up. Being able to free up more space in the budget early on is always nice. Now, past taking Numas initially, we will want to set up another army, a much smaller army, but another army to function as a decoy, a bait for ambushes, as Cetra is not exactly an easy opponent. He's one of the harder opponents in the early game in my experience. So we're going to need to rely on some dirty tricks to beat him. Otherwise, he can cause us a lot of trouble. Okay, and here we go. The turn is already. Let's see here. Let's keep going. Yeah, we'll recruit more units, so it'll work out that this is such a distance away. Yeah, Cetra is there already with a full stack, and not all of it is a joke, unlike some of the other full stacks you see early in the game. Like, for instance, the Skaven recruiting nothing but Skaven slaves for, well, far longer than they have any real reason to. Let's get some camel archers going so we can have more of a skirmish cavalry army going on. And back here, the public order is absolutely awful in my starting province, largely because of the provincial instability. Which is unfortunate, but I think that's a result of getting sacked. So it'll go down and we'll eventually hit positive numbers soon. But for now, I need to stay on the road dealing with issues early on. If you fall by the wayside in the early game, that can trip you up for the rest of the campaign. So let's see, is there anything I should hit for diplomacy? Nothing in particular. Lamia has gotten its ass beat so badly that it's now looking to make peace with me and make a non-aggression pact with me, even though I have a non-aggression pact with one of their enemies. Thoric, his opinion of me is just going to keep declining the more it sets in for him that I trespassed, and he may eventually outright declare war on me, because that's the dwarfs for you. Scarbrand is going to have the lowest opinion of me, because Scarbrand has a low opinion of everybody. Ideally, Scarbrand will be surrounded by enemies sooner rather than later, so I won't be alone in dealing with him, but he's going to be a problem when we get to him, and I imagine he will try to focus on me earlier rather than later, as the AI's anti-player bias will likely kick in. Now, if we could get some support from Tutankhanut to fight Cetra, that would be nice, but as it is, I believe Numas is still effectively set as a non-legendary faction for faction potential, so it's unlikely he'll do anything of significance. More likely than anything, he is going to struggle to put together a unit or two in Qatar and then get killed. But if I take Numas off of Cetra, I believe that's supposed to give me a variety. It's supposed to give me a variety of buffs, so I will be setting to the task of doing that. Now, with a garrison of 11 units and 19 units sitting in the city, a wise strategy might be to, well, for one thing, let's get a lord recruited here, another lord recruited here. Let's see, well, to make this one of heavens. An alchemist, buffs for, no, I'll pass on that. Plus 20% speed on a wizard, why not?
As sure as the sun rises. I go.
I'll put him here in Karagorod. He should be able to, as he gets a few units, be able to deal with the public order issues. Let's get a garrison going in Granite Massif. And let's see here. We can either get desert patrols, which will make us closer to Araby and give us Arabian garrison. Or I can set up a Tomb King garrison, which will put us closer to the Tomb King side of the meter. Granite Massif is already fairly Tomb King themed. Let's just go Loreful and make it a Tomb King garrison. Sure. Yeah, I don't see why not. And yeah, I'll upgrade. I'll go ahead and purchase some further Tomb King unit buildings.
Your command.
And we will have this wizard go ahead and recruit a couple of units so that he will, well, yeah, just so that he'll provide some more public order bonuses to the city he's hanging out in. Some pretty unimpressive spearmen, we'll go with that. Let's see, and Fatandira will enter ambush stance, I suppose. None of this will cause attrition, because Araby does not suffer desert attrition like many other factions do. I'll enter ambush stance for now. Ideally, that will mean that Cetra will not consider Fatandira's presence. Sometimes lords have a tendency to stick around in one area if there's another foreign lord in that area, even if they're not at war, because they don't want to get, attacked out of the blue. Have war suddenly declared on them by someone they thought was neutral. Now, my cat here is going to have to, unfortunately, wait until this recording ends. She is asking me to feed her, and she's now getting angry enough at me that she is nibbling on my feet. I don't know why. This is 2 hours earlier than our usual dinner time, but I suppose I should get around to feeding her sooner rather than later, so I don't lose track of time and forget. That would be an irresponsible pet ownership. Silverhost is dead. Well. And Numas, that's what I was hoping for. Yeah, the ambush stance succeeded. My ambush chance went down. Success chance went down massively. Don't know why. But nonetheless, the ambush succeeded. And Cetra ignored me coming close to Numas. Now, let's see. Do we have Siege Attacker? We do on Fatandira. So, we are going to need to take Numas on this turn. So, yeah, if we do not take Numas on this turn, then Cetra will double back and attack us, and I don't know if we can take on the garrison of Numas at the same time as Cetra himself. Now, let's see here. For siege tools, we don't have any artillery, which is a major siege tool that I quite like to have, but most of our army has Stalk, which is going to be quite nice, as it means that we'll be able to attack a lot of the city and just go right through the walls, over the walls, what have you, without the enemy even being aware of it. My Tomb King units, my Spearmen, and let's see, the Wogzen and the Bowmen, there we go, are going to lack stealth, going to lack stalk, but all of my Nomad units, everything that's on a camel, both my missile infantry units that aren't Bowmen, they are going to be able to sneak right in. Now I forget, does the Hashashin have stalk? It does, but Fatandira does not. Okay. So, yeah, we're going to, let's see, what's the map we're looking at here? That's going to be a big part of the plan. It's a small city, then stealth is a little bit harder. The bigger this map, that's about medium size. I've certainly seen smaller. So, yeah, while one side of my army will attack from one side, and another side of my army with stalk will try to sneak in from the other side. Ideally, this will cause them to divert their forces and take a lot of the pressure off the non-stealthy side. So, yeah, let me go ahead and quick save. That is important. If I lose the battle, I will just restart it. But ideally, I'll succeed first try. Well, not even necessarily if I lose the battle, but if I win with a higher than comfortable amount of casualties. We're going to want to rush in there, because if the AI gets towers built, the towers will prevent me from using stealth units in their vicinity. But ideally, we will rush in there fast enough, especially since I have stealth cavalry here. I will be able to rush in fast enough that will not be a concern. And ideally, I'll be able to just sweep a lot of the points, the control points, which will distract the Tomb Kings enough to let the other side of my force come on in. Now, let's see here. We're going to attack from this side with the loud side of my army, while the quiet side of my army, let's see, can come in on this side, so they'll easily have access to both control points here. Let's see here. We have, you are Stalk, you have Stalk, not you. You all have Stalk, and you all have Stalk. There we go. Okay, and you will be, let's see, what will be your formation? It doesn't really matter, I suppose. You're all just going to be piling in there. So formation isn't going to really matter. And let me go ahead and set you as a group. There we go. They are going to be attacking the gate right out from the jump with their stealth. They will not be noticed going in. On the other side here, let's see, these towers might be long enough range to attack this army as soon as it spawns in. So let's give ourselves a little bit more breathing room. And let's see, we will attack this gate instead, where we're going to be able to spawn a little bit further away from it. And make it so that the defending army has to it makes them quite a bit further from this side, so they won't be able to answer the stealth attack as quickly. The bowmen will want to stay some distance behind. The initial phase of attacking the walls is not a good situation for missile units. The rest of my army can go ahead and take the walls as soon as the stealth units have drawn the enemy away. Fathandira will join the main attack on the walls, definitely. Actually, the chariots might be able to go around and crack open the other gate on this side just to distract the opponent. Okay, let us see here. Let's start the battle and now pause. Let's see what their formation is looking like. Yeah, just about the standard here. I could probably attack the walls pretty quickly and not worry too much about it. We can send the skeleton chariots around to attack this gate. We'll go ahead and do that. Otherwise, you know, chariots and cavalry can sometimes have an awkward time being used in sieges. They're a little bit awkward since they can't go on the walls. Okay, the rest of the army here is going to attack the gate. I'll do that as soon as I can move the cat off my lap, as she has decided she's going to try other methods of getting me to feed her. Okay, the cavalry or the camelry, rather, here is going to move in first and take out that gate. Let's see, the chariots will probably get actually close enough to the foe that they'll be able to fire some shots at them. So let's tell them to move out here first and then go for the gate. So they pivot around the enemy missiles. Now, the rest of my stealth army here is not going to be able to attack the gate. There's only so many people you can fit in a gatehouse area at once. But the rest of my camels are going to slowly whittle the gate down. Gates are definitely healthier than they used to be in Total War Warhammer, and I'm not complaining about that. Because it used to be that the best way to siege Bretonnia, for instance, was to get a peasant mob whose sole purpose was to go around cracking gates, and it was really funny. That's still actually not too terrible of a plan with no time limit, but it's pretty slow. Yeah, so far as the AI can see, it's only being attacked on one side. They've at least been smart enough to have one skeleton warrior go back here to cover this control point. Are they going to... They may be aware that the one gate is being attacked. I like the little combat notifier telling me that the camel cavalry are apparently having a 50-50 battle with that gate. I guess the gate's getting its licks in. So, let's see. Do we go ahead and have our missile units mount the walls? I don't know if that's a wise idea because they'll lose so much stamina. At the same time, they can bombard any skeleton units that come near. So let's go ahead and have them mount the walls, yes. Back here, yes, the skeleton chariots are hitting that gate. So they'll be able to come on in and attack. See back here. Yeah, the majority of their force is starting to move away from that wall, which will give me the capability to have my loud force attack that wall. They will be shot up by the skeleton archers, but that's just the natural cost of doing a siege battle. Let us see. Can I have... Would it be smart for my Wogzen to go in and attack the gate right now? It'd be a bold choice, certainly. Yeah, they're aware of my quiet force trying to hit that side. They're moving units over to try and deal with that, though at a relatively slow and piecemeal pace, which is even more to my advantage than I anticipated. Let us see. Let's go ahead and, yeah, attack this side of the walls. You are not a daughter of Ulthwin. You are from Araby. I'm sorry, but you just are. We'll let the Wogzen wait for the infantry to take the majority of the missiles, since they have shields and the Wogzen don't. Now, these missiles should start bombarding the enemy skeletons when they come close. They may have to flee. We will see. May wind up being a kill box situation. Who knows? How's that gate coming along? It's over halfway done. It's certainly going slower than I anticipated, but gate damage is pretty meaningful nowadays. Gate health, rather. The chariots are actually doing a lot more damage to the gate over here, which I guess makes sense. The individual chariot entities probably have higher weapon strength. Fathandira is the fastest unit in the loud side of the army, so she is the one taking the brunt to the missile fire here, I suppose. Let's have the Wogzen run in and start taking shots at that gate. And the Arabian bowmen will move up as well. Now, let's see. These skeleton warriors. Can we get the Jezzails to start shooting at those skeleton warriors? No. They're at a bad angle, so they want to run down and do it on the floor.
Like the desert wind.
You weirdos. Okay, well, this is a bad situation, but I'll recover from it.
Like sand and wind.
Let's get the nomad trackers over to the other side of the wall there, away from the skeleton warriors.
It shall be so.
The enemy did get a tower built, but I'm not too worried about it. I think that tower will largely be blocked by the architecture.
Death as rain.
Ooh, taking more than a comfortable amount of damage from that tower, but gonna have to be, we're beggars not choosers in this situation. Okay, those skeleton warriors. See, back here we should be mounting the walls, and yes, engaging the other side here. Let's see, has that gatehouse cracked open? Yes, it has. Let us see, we may go ahead and start swinging at this missile chariot. Who's to say? Nah, let's not. That's perhaps not an ideal situation. Now let's have these Arabian bowmen go ahead and start climbing this side of the ladder, this side of the wall here.
Move, dogs.
The Jezzails, what are they doing? They are just kind of sitting there. An interesting choice. Let's go ahead and have them take that point. Why not? We'll have them take that control point. They're not too exposed to anything too deadly right now. This gatehouse has taken far longer to break than intended, but nonetheless, it looks like it is finally broken. Let's get these camel lancers in here. Come on, boys, join the party. As soon as you can squeeze your fat asses through that gatehouse.
Forward, soldiers.
That is now our gatehouse, thank you, sir. Let's see, let's deal with this control point here, and once we do, that will deal with a lot of the barriers here. Now, where was that? Yes, the nomad trackers here. Let's send them down to the floor. They can contribute some missile fire there. Start taking this point and delete some of the buildings around here. Over on this side, the infantry fight has been about as expected. I have not been watching it too diligently to tell my infantry units to get into the fight, which is not smart, but it is what it is.
End them.
I think I'm going to win even with player error like this. Okay, let's go ahead and have these chariots take that control point while it's exposed. And the Arabian bowmen that are slowly climbing up here can go ahead and mount this side of the wall so that they can shoot down at any skeleton spears that decide it'd be a good idea to hop into the melee here. And we have now claimed this side of the wall. We will be taking it. And the enemy gates are destroyed. Very good for me. The chariots will be fitting their fat asses through that little gateway there. There is a bunch of camel lancers running right past the enemy skeleton spearmen. Boom, there goes their tower. Okay, let's fight these skeleton spearmen and, let's see, not tell the Jezzails to fight the skeleton spearmen in melee. Let's see here. Ooh, we are getting put into a bad situation here, nearly. But let's go ahead and fight that skeleton archer chariot while we can. Let's tell the Hashashin to get in there in the fight with that skeleton spearman.
Keep at range.
Ooh, these camel archers taking a lot of missile fire here. Bad situation. Wasn't smart of me to keep them here, but is what it is.
End them.
Yeah, we're getting pinned in here. This was not a wise choice on my part.
If you will it. Forward, soldiers.
Let's see if we can expose a flank on these skeleton spearmen here.
Move, dogs. There will be nothing left.
And ideally be able to do a decent chunk of damage. Let's see. Starting to, yeah, multitasking is a little bit difficult, but I think I'm handling it fairly well, all things considered. Let's get these chariots up here to steal the main leadership point. Back here, yeah, these skeleton spearmen, let's go ahead and just shred away at them for free while they can. Let the rest of the units on this side of the wall recover a little bit, since they're so exhausted. The camel cavalry, let's not dig them in too hard. I really just want to distract the skeleton spearmen here.
It shall be so.
Let's have these camel archers, so they aren't just wasting time. At least focus on breaking some of these
To battle.
barriers.
There will be nothing left.
Charging cavalry into spears is not a wise choice, but sometimes you've just got to do it. Sometimes that's the only choice you got.
Like sand and
When you take a lot of cavalry, these are just the things you got to deal with. These archers are confused and don't know how to go up a hill. Unfortunate. It's a sad situation, really.
there will be nothing left.
Yeah, I've been able to successfully divert the majority of the enemy force. It has meant that I have been able to have an easier time on the rest of this, but the rest of my army has been able to have a relatively easier time. I'm not great at sieges, in fairness, I shall say. I'm far from a siege expert when it comes to Total War.
For our Sultan.
Let's see, the camel lancers are starting to really take a lot of damage here, which does make sense. They're caught between a variety of spearmen. Let's see if the Hashashin can be at least somewhat helpful here. Yeah, the camel archers, this is a bad situation, kind of a kill box. Oh, they were able to finally get down that barrier. I haven't been paying attention to my notifications, I suppose. So let's get in there, beating up these skeleton archers. Overrun them with some skirmish cav. These chariots. Let's see, have we? Yes, we have taken the main leadership point. Excellent. Let's get these chariots down here, helping against the skeleton archers, while these camel archers go elsewhere where it is more advisable for them. And they can go ahead and take that point. These camel lancers back here, how are they doing? Yeah, they're a little frayed out because I had to split their formation. Let's see
Soldiers.
if we can at least send them to help in the Jezzails a little bit here, since the Jezzails are having a rough time, a rough go of it.
For the Jinn.
Let's see, and we will be, yeah, we've got these skeleton archers effectively dealt with. We're reclaiming this point. Shooting our shot at the skeleton archers over here. Let's see, these gentlemen over here, are the Ushabti They are. Let's take this point. This side of the army is now actually going to be more or less doing nothing. I actually wound up wasting them by waiting too long to really effectively deploy them. And it is over. Close victory. I'll take it. I'll take it. I don't know what auto-resolve would have gave me. Probably close victory or Pyrrhic victory. If it was going to give me a decisive victory, that'd be pretty embarrassing, but I'll take the embarrassment. Shaking off the rust here is my temporary excuse. I don't know what excuse I'll have in the future once I've got back to playing the game quite a bit, and I don't have a couple months of rust. Now, yeah, the Camel Lancers took a lot of damage. Unfortunately, they were just the best melee unit I had in that situation. I forgot I had Desert Riders. I guess I was using them in the same capacity that I was the Camel Archers. Which would explain why one of them had less range than the other, but in the hecticness of that battle, I was not checking it out. The units that did admirably there were the Hashashin and Fatandira, which makes sense. The Hashashin pretty well had to do a lot of the melee work on the stealth side of the army. Fatandira did kill a lot of Nehekara warriors on the walls. I did see that. Her bonus versus infantry kicked in there. Okay, and we have taken Numas. And we will be hopping in here to hand it off to Numas. Yep, there we go, to Tutankhanut, which will give increased growth and control, as well as replenishing my units by quite a bit. Ideally, Tutankhanut will be able to hold on to it. We shall see. Now, the question here is, let's see, do I have enough movement range to ambush? I do. That is important. If Setro runs up here, I'd rather run into him in an ambush than in any other context.
Princess of the Azure.
If I get to have a say in the matter at all. Let's see here. Okay, for our next unit upgrade, we will want to buff, yes, our cavalry, almost certainly. Let's see what else we can buff. Hardened warriors, +2 melee defense for Jezzails. That's weird. Monsters, guns, artillery more so. So let's see, and skirmish cav versus melee cav. Let's see. We will buff our melee cav for now. +12 charge bonus is nothing to sneeze at. And let's see, what is their charge bonus looking like now? 45. That's pretty good for such a cheap unit of cavalry. While on our Hashashin, we will continue to buff her melee capabilities. Let's see. Survivalist is not a huge one for her, but I'll throw it on just to enhance a weak point of this particular hero type. And let's see. Did Numas have its... Numas did not have its garrison replenished. That is unfortunate. That will be a difficult thing to deal with. But I think if Cetra comes back around... Well, it's more likely Cetra will take a swing at Qatar. If he does, then ideally he'll take enough damage that I can beat on him in the next turn or two. Ideally. And from there, I can go on to take Khemri in this, maybe the Springs of Eternal Life. I'm surprised Manfred hasn't already taken it. But nonetheless, yeah, I'll be able to move on and hit those locations. So, yeah, alright. I think there's a good place to stop the recording as well. The cat is really demanding my attention here. So, I will see you guys in the next part.